Welcome back to Grown Women Talk. We just saw the movie The Hate You Give with our children, Alexandra and Logan, and we just want to dive right in and ask them, because we just saw it, it's fresh for us. What did you guys think about the movie?
I thought that the movie was very amazing, and it really preaches towards all of the racial injustice going on right now.
Wow.
And I think that's very powerful to me.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the movie. I really thought that, it not only does it speak on the current issues, but it just shows like how, like when you really get to know a person, like people can reveal so much more than just like surface value.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she showed with her friend. She really got to, figure out who she was, and that was kind of like a revelation to her. So it was really good.
Before I go to the next question to them, you guys, what did you think about the movie, The Hate You Give? Let me say that I almost want to say I'm so sorry after seeing the movie, because I've become like so desensitized by watching the news every day. When you see a killing of another young black man or a killing of a black woman, as the case of Sandra Bland, and it's almost like it's just another something that happened. This movie helped make it personal. It helped put a face, and that these are actual human beings who have lives, who have families, who have dreams, who have friends that are gunned down. And it was just, extremely moving, especially to see it with our kids. And
I think we really don't have a clue what people go through on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And for me, this whole notion of fear, mm-hmm. which I hate to be afraid, but this whole notion of fear, because I'm raising a black boy.
Yeah.
And that's scary to me. And I know he's brilliant and amazing and called to do great things, but somebody, if he does the wrong thing, doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I had so many emotions. The first one, or the major emotion, is anger. Mm-hmm. And it's because of what best friend was saying. I am raising a black child, and his brother is also black, who I raised since the age of 6. I remember having the talk with them.
That they taught in the movie.
Absolutely. When they became, maybe 12, maybe. Definitely we reviewed the talk before they began to drive. But what to do if stopped by a police officer. Just to be still, to answer every question, to be polite, just to be calm. And my son has been stopped on numerous occasions. I work in Park Heights, which is a area that is stricken by opioid use and dealership. We are about number one when it comes to heroin overdoses. It's critical. It's a dangerous neighborhood. I worked there for a long time, and my son would pick me up there, and he was stopped by plainclothes cops. I didn't even know we had them, because nurses' purses at the hospital where I worked, nurses' purses were stolen all the time. Our cars were broken into. I had no idea we had police watching. But they somehow found my son, who was waiting for me to pick me up, and they would knock on the window and say, "What are you doing?" Wow. He said, "Waiting for my mom." They said, "Which building is she in?" They grilled him about why he was there. And we don't live in that area, but still, like somebody said in the movie, we walk around black. That sometimes is the only thing that you've done suspect.
And seen as a weapon.
Absolutely.
Our black.
He's been stopped for a murder case. All of his friends in the car had to get out and get on the ground. And he remembers them saying, "Oh, you're not the one. You're too fat to be him." So many things. And
he's lean, which is crazy, but anyway.
So many things come to mind about that movie. And just wanting them to come home alive has been my issue, my prayer.
Children, What stood out to you the most in the movie? What scene really stood out to you guys?
When she was with in school with her friend, her white friend, her friend was like, you know, saying stuff about how the dude that got shot, Khalil, was a drug dealer and that he should be killed. And then Star, you know, reached out and grabbed a hairbrush from her backpack and, you know, said, "Is this your hairbrush? Does it look like a gun?" And then she, like, you know, did stuff like, you know, like police would do, like did stuff like that. And it was just, it really, you know, it was very powerful because some, you know, people don't really know about the issues that black people face on a daily basis.
Right.
So I think that, you know, there was impacted me a lot.
I would say for me is that, like, when the father was able to give, like, the talk to the, you know, to his kids, you know, to address that, you know, being black and, you know, all these current issues that arise, you know, in the world, it's, you know, people would try things, people will question you about things, and then you have to know, you know, you have to know, you know, one, you have to know who you are, you have to know, you know, what you stand for, and ultimately really just know your rights.
Yes.
Especially, you know, being stopped, you know, as Khalil was being stopped, you know, it was important for him to know, you know, to not only put his hands up, but just to really, just to know who you are and just know what, you know, what you practice.
And to comply. You know, that's what they were teaching them. And I think one of the things that you brought up that really touched me in one aspect but broke my heart in another, it just really touched me that they had such a strong father. Oh my God. That, you know, that was a beautiful element throughout the whole movie. The family, the father, the mother, the way that he had this other son with somebody else, but they brought that son in and raised them all together. I mean, it was beautiful. And it broke my heart to think about how many families don't have that. Because that man was the leader of that family. The rules, he said, when he told them don't move, they didn't move. He meant that thing. And when they came against his family, he rose up and he took control of the situation and he let them know nobody messes with my family. How many people don't have that covering in their lives?
My God.
You know, and that boy Khalil in the movie, he didn't have that. He was trying to. He did sell drugs, as they showed, but because his mother was an addict, because his grandmother had cancer, he needed money for the family. It was just all these different things, and even the way that they touched on. I mean, everybody, I don't want to really spoil everything because everybody should see this movie. You know, I usually hate seeing movies that make me angry. And this is one of those movies, but it is so important for everybody to see because it touches on all these things. It touches on the fact that they say snitches get stitches. Don't tell what you see in the community. But if you don't tell what you see, there will be no justice. So that young girl Star had to tell what she saw. The other people in the community had to rise up in another aspect of the movie. But they touched on so many important things. Alex, who is the author of this book?
Her name is Angie Thomas.
Angie Thomas. You guys, I found out about the movie because Alex read the book twice. And she's been waiting for this movie to come out. I wanted to ask you, Alex, did the movie do justice to the book?
It did, amazingly. It was really accurate towards the book and had a lot of pieces and elements that made up the book, and they put it into the movie, which I thought it gave it justice a lot.
Good.
Kia, you know, you talked about the strong father figure,
yes.
And I think you know, for us, and we've had this conversation about our dads, and you know, setting the tone. But you know, I think one of the things that was most powerful, and just for the record, I left out at least twice because not just because of my fearfulness, but because I was mad, and I don't do well in those settings. I do not do well, and I'm fearful of what my temper could possibly happen. But one of the things that he reminded his children why he named them.
Oh,
you know, he reminded and so when I look at Logan, it wasn't a mistake that I named you Logan, and I remind him constantly of who he is and who he's called to be. And so he reminded his children that they were great.
Yes.
I called you star because you're going to be a star and shine your light.
Yes.
I named you 7 because it's the perfect number. But there was one scene in particular. Something happened in a restaurant. I will be like Key. Obviously, I won't spoil it. But the kids, he told everybody to get out of the car and line up.
Line up.
He said,
line
up. And he
Powerful.
said, the kids got out of the car and he said, you stop crying, Star. And he was a good father about comfort. Yes. But he told them to line up. And then he made them recite for them sort of this Black Panther creed. And he said, then what? And then what? And it was so powerful because we forget the presence of words.
Yes.
We forget the authority of words. And he reminded them. And then we got, obviously, you touched on it about this whole father figure. But when he said line up, and he reminded them, and we've got to continue, and we do, remind our kids of their brilliance.
Yes. And I think that it while we don't want to have the talk, we all have to have the talk with our children because that talk saved Star's life. She tried to tell Khalil what to do.
She did.
But he hadn't had the talk. And so he is gone in the movie. And so it is important that we teach our children, how, as you indicated, you've shared with Jordan, how to be when the police stop you. And for any of us, it's just very powerful because it could be life or death in today's times for our young people. And I think that, and for adults, okay?
That's right.
And it made me think again about Eric Gardner, about Tamir Rice,
that's right,
about Freddie Gray, about
Castillo.
Mike Brown. Yes,
know?
About all of these lights who are gone out of this world. And so we must be vigilant.
Yes.
We must be vigilant and train our children so that they may live and to fight for justice for those who are no longer with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much
for going with us today. We really appreciate it. We know that it was a heavy thing. The last thing I want to ask you guys before we close out, do you all have fear? Do you have fear to walk the streets?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially I think like when I go through maybe like not so good areas, and just that how it's not necessarily like the association or the correlation between you're black and there's a fear that like I could hurt somebody or something like that, which is it's sad to say that that's the world we live in, especially the time that all these issues. But I mean, I think probably for me, there is kind of a fear, and that's with anybody, where where it's not so good, just kind of like a sketchy neighborhood. There is a fear that there could be something that could happen around me, and you never know what could happen. So,
Is there fear for you?
Yeah, I have fear. Like the same thing with Logan. If I were to walk into like a community that's not really, then it would scare me because you never know what could happen. You never know if something like could happen, like an event or anything. Like with her friend Natasha, they were just playing basketball. They weren't doing anything to harm anybody. They were doing anything to risk anybody's life or anything, and then someone just shot her friend. That could have happened to someone like me, and that scares me.
Yeah. I think that it's a real thing that our children face every day. And one thing that we didn't even touch on, and we're not going to go into deep, but the way that they sent their children to school in a whole other district for safety. And I've done that in Baltimore. Sent my daughter. Many of us pay a ton of money to send our children to school so they can be safe. And so it is, then they have to live this other life because they're not able to go and be around other black children. It's just a whole gamut of things that this movie touched on that we don't even have time to do today. All we can say to you all is please go see it. We encourage you to go see it. We encourage you to take your children,
talk to them,
take your mates, take your family members. Go see this movie. It is very powerful. And again, thank you guys so much for going with us today. Before we finish up today, you all, something that has also been on our hearts is that share with them what happened to our dear cousin that we all love so much, that you all have learned as Cocktails with Cousin.
Yes, Cocktails with Cousin. She was on a scooter and fell off, and she has to have surgery. And so we are asking our listeners to keep her in prayer, keep her in warm thoughts. Many of you have asked where she is, so we will resume a segment with Cocktails with Cousin. But in the meantime, we are sending her well wishes.
Yes.
And so we're asking her to
we love you, cousin, and we know that you all will feel. She'll feel y'all's love.
Yes.
Yes. So also, you all don't forget to vote. Voting is critical.
Yes, and
don't forget to vote,
so
please.
we can some change away.
Every vote counts.
Every vote counts, you all. All right, you all, and push the subscribe button, and don't forget about us. Don't forget to share some love, show us some love, and give us a comment. All right. So you all, until next time, thank you so much for being with us. Get ready,
We said,
And go.
Bye.
bye.